Moin und herzlich willkommen zum Kassenzone-Podcast. Heute zu Gast Carsten Lambrecht, das ist der Chef von Burger King in Dänemark und Schweden. Den habe ich auf meiner Reise besucht nach Aarhus. Das ist so eine ganz süße kleine Stadt in Dänemark. Solltet ihr also gerade im Dänemark-Urlaub sein, schaut da mal vorbei. Das ist wirklich eine total coole Altstadt an der Ostsee. Und da könnt ihr euch sicherlich das ein oder andere Kleinod zulegen. Und mit Carsten habe ich darüber gesprochen, wohin die Reise geht mit Burger King, ob das noch ein expansives Geschäftsmodell ist, ob die jetzt im Rahmen der ganzen Schnellladestationen einen Rollout an den Autobahnen planen, wie wichtig diese Bestellterminals sind, ob schon viel online bestellt wird. Es wird erstaunlich viel online bestellt. Tatsächlich, das ist eine Folge, die ich primär für den Commerce Talks Podcast aufgenommen habe, bei dem ich ja mit englischsprachigen Gästen rede, circa 1 bis 2, 3 Mal im Monat. Aber ich glaube, die Folge ist so gut, dass sie auch im Kassenzone-Podcast erscheinen kann. Vielen Dank an dieser Stelle schon mal für das viele Feedback auf meinem Newsletter von gestern. Da habe ich meine lange Liste mit Gewinnern und Verlierern der Plattformökonomie und der Arbeiterlosigkeit mit 3000 Lesern mittlerweile geteilt und auch von dem einen oder anderen direktes Feedback erhalten. Das finde ich sehr cool. Das ist eine Liste, die mich dieses und nächstes Jahr wahrscheinlich begleiten wird. Ein befreundeter Unternehmer, der Florian von der Agentur Tova, meinte, wir müssen diese Liste auch für die B2B-Unternehmen aufbauen. Das machen wir demnächst auch mal, um herauszufinden, was heißt das denn für die B2B-Wirtschaft, diese verschiedenen Einflussfaktoren. Und ich trenne zwischen der klassischen Plattformökonomie, bei der immer mehr die Macht an die Plattform geht und immer weniger Produktrisiko bei denen liegt, und dem Thema demografischer Wandel, also Arbeiterlosigkeit. Und es kommen ein paar spannende Erkenntnisse für mich raus, die sowohl für meine privaten als auch beruflichen Investments enorme Bedeutung haben. Und diese Listen mache ich, weil ich mich vorbereite auf die Spryker Excite-Konferenz am 12. September. Da gibt es dann die ein oder andere Keynote um diese Themen herum. Da besprechen wir mit circa 500 Kunden und Kollegen aus dem Spryker-Umfeld, was das für sie bedeutet und wo auch die Reise hingeht für unsere Plattform mit diesen Einflussfaktoren. Da könnt ihr euch noch kostenlos Tickets sichern, wenn ihr Hersteller oder Händler seid. Ich teile den Code nochmal hier im Podcast. Eileen sortiert ganz scharf aus, wenn man doch Dienstleister ist. Das geht nur als Sponsor, kann man dann da teilnehmen. Ansonsten wünsche ich erstmal viel Spaß mit der Folge mit Carsten. Bei dem läuft's im Business. Das ist ein expansives Geschäftsmodell. Wie schnell die expandieren und wie das genau funktioniert und was man als Betreiber einer Burger King Filiale verdienen kann, das lernt ihr auch im Podcast. Viel Spaß dabei. Carsten, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast. Last time we met in Berlin, I think it was in September.
Yeah, I think September, October, September.
Yeah, we had a nice conversation on the Seamless keynote stage, and then we discussed that we might continue this discussion in your hometown Aarhus, which the ones that watch this via YouTube can see here in the background. Yeah. So, and some of the listeners have not been at the Seamless conference in Berlin. I have to tell you. Really? So you have to introduce yourself,
of course,
and your company or the company you're working for.
Gladly. No, thank you. Yeah, Carsten and I am the managing director for King Food, Denmark and Sweden, which are the master franchise behind Burger King in Denmark and Sweden. So we run the master franchisees also for Norway, but that's not my responsibility. I have Denmark and Sweden, and we run both own restaurants through our company, but also, of course, sub-franchise with our franchisees in both markets.
And can you give us a bit of your history? Have you always worked for Burger King? Have you started as how is it called, a burger juggler?
Yeah, no, I actually did, but I was in my hometown with my mother's grill bar. I think that was where I learned the burgers first time. So not that much QSR experience. I came from retail. I've been working with Lidl for almost 9 years, different positions.
Here in Denmark?
Here in Denmark and a little bit abroad doing a director program we have, where you go to other countries and also work to get inspiration and see processes. So I was there for almost 9 years and needed to try something different. And at the same time, our owners of the master franchise wanted to have a new country manager coming in the market in Denmark. And we had a good dialogue and ended up finding a common ground. So I started with Burger King Denmark first in end of 2022. And then I took over Sweden 5 months ago-ish, maybe 6 months now, actually, in the end of 2023.
Nice. Can you give us some rough KPIs about the Burger King business or like the franchise business here in the country? So how many people are working in the restaurant? How many restaurants?
Gladly.
How many burgers are?
We in Denmark, we run 58 restaurants. Half of them we run ourselves through the King Food Company, and the other half, 29, is run by 5 different franchisees. We also have one in Faroe Islands. So they also are under our umbrella for the Danish market. So 58 in Denmark and 1 on the Faroe Islands. We expect to open 2 more this year, so we're going to hit 60. That's a nice round number. And then we're going to keep expanding the next couple of years. We can go more to that later, maybe. Employee-wise, we have around 1,500 employees in all the restaurants in Denmark. And in Sweden, we run 31 restaurants with King Food Company, and the rest, we have 120 there. So the rest 90 restaurants in Sweden is divided out on franchisees there. So a lot larger franchisee market in Sweden.
What's the difference between the franchise and the owner's restaurant, or if there's an advantage in like one form or the other? So why are you owning then instead of franchising them out?
We're owning because we want to run the business ourselves. Because if we are able to support our franchisees, we need to understand the core business. So that's why we have restaurants ourselves. And we also using them, of course, for new tests, new processes. We have right now we're actually introducing new King's Journey, which are really customer-based approach and digital approach, which are really, really good. And that is easy now. We can test it in our restaurants and then present it for the franchisees when we're done and have luckily found all the mistakes and errors and optimize the system. Here is the full package. That gives an advantage that we can actually test and implement new things in the restaurant without putting it out on the franchisees. So I think that's really, we'll keep the core. We'll always have, if it's half-half or is it 1/3, not so important, but we will always have restaurants in the market.
Yeah, and before we come into all the like trends and digitalization, all the stuff which was a core of the conversation at the Seamless conference, just zooming out a bit. So you're expanding here in both markets. So is it also the same thing happening with Burger King, apart from Russia, I guess? But is it the same thing with the rest of the world? Is it an expanding business model, or are we at the peak of this kind of business model?
I can start talking for my markets. We see Denmark a large potential. We mapped it during the last 6 months. And I think it's very clear that we see huge growth potential in Denmark. What the exact number is not certain, but I think a minimum of 20 to 30 restaurants would like to grow the next 5 years in the Danish market. So bringing us up to 80, 90 restaurants in total.
And where does this growth comes from? Is it like people are spending more time in restaurants and going, getting their dinner, food, lunch, whatever outside? Or are you stealing market share from other concepts or from other franchise systems?
We in the market as a whole, for the Danish market, we have the last year taken 3 points of market share in the competitors. So we are gaining from the competitors. That is one of the drivers. The second is that we are not done. When we look at the coverage of restaurants, both physical restaurants where you go into, the classic ones with drive-thrus and eat in, we're lacking visibility and coverage. I think we still have blind spots in the market. And if you look at coverage with home delivery, digital sales channels, also have potential where we can be more visible. Okay,
we'll come to the delivery thing in a minute. But do you believe that you can get market share from, let's say, if we look outside, we might see like 1 or 2 Italian restaurants, so that people that are going for lunch, business lunch or dinners would then go to a Burger King?
Yeah, I think so. I think yes and no. Yeah, I think we should be clear what is the target group and segment we are working with. And if you want to have a good dinner and an hour or so also with some red wine or whatever, then it's not, of course, Burger King, McDonald's or Sunset you go to, in my opinion. But I think you see more and more people go out having the convenience on the go. People want to move from A to B, driving or transporting themselves. There's an easy way to get some good food pretty fast. But the competitors are a lot. Yeah, we have the large one, of course, but there's a lot of small competitors also, especially when you are in the larger cities as Aarhus, Copenhagen. So the market is tough. It's not an easy market to grow in. And then coming back to maybe more the business model and the concept.
But where do the competitors come from? Because like from a McDonald's and Burger King kind of perspective, those are such huge brands, kind of Nike, Adidas kind of brands. Yeah. So what is then the value proposition of like a small competitor who's starting out maybe in Denmark? Is it a niche like burritos only or pasta only?
That's,
or what
exactly. That's niche production. Yeah, you go in and you have, a clear donut bar or sandwich bar or salad bar, where you only focus on that. And that, of course, takes some of the guest away from us, or can take the guest away from us, because we're not doing everything. And I think that's important just to say it. We need to be able to focus on the core business, and that is doing really good burgers.
But I believe that in the past you might have looked into those new business opportunities, because when we came here to Aarhus, we stopped by charging station with a Burger King attached, and I ordered something, and then I just, in order to prepare for this podcast, I went through the whole menu, and it's really around burgers and some different forms of fries that are part of the menu. But there's not a big salad selection or pasta or pizza, and there were like different times and for different trends. I think we are beyond the pizza peak, I would say. Yeah. Have you tried it out, or was it like an innovation in that direction in the Burger King franchise?
Yeah, no, we haven't. Not in my time tried the pizza. I don't know if we've done it before. I'm sure, but not the last couple of years. But what we look into innovation-wise, it's still around the core of like you say, the burgers. We want to keep it around that, but still we can add in and do, a little bit fun with the also local things. For example, in Denmark, we launched this called the beef sandwich. It's a beef sandwich. It's quite an iconic thing for the Danish market, and that works very well. So we do, national market relevant test and assortment adjustments. So I think innovation is key to be relevant also moving forward. But I think the focus should be around the core, which are the burgers, and where people maybe can go other directions.
So what is the vegan share in your burger business? Because I saw there's vegan burgers you're serving. How big is the share already?
Yeah, it's we have actually currently, I think it's 13 products which are meat-free products in different variations, but the share is not that high. It goes from, it's a restaurant from restaurant. So national, I think we're talking about 5%, not more. And if we look to the local restaurants, there is restaurants who has very little or none. So it's an offer we tested when we pushed it a lot last year. We had this fully, green or meat-free restaurant in Aarhus in Copenhagen, where we did 1 month of meat-free products, and we could really see.
How did it go?
It went very well, meaning that when we compare the sales to before and then after, when we changed it to meat-free, it was quite similar during the day hours. It is a 24 restaurant. So during the night, when people, especially the weekend, needed some meat, maybe with some alcohol, they would go to the competitors, which are all around in Copenhagen. So, but during the day, it's more one-to-one almost. So we didn't drop the sales, and we could see people actually enjoying the meat-free alternatives. But as soon as we remove all the focus, people go often back to what they normally would order. So that the share dropped severely.
Okay. And then one other macroeconomic question. So I don't know if we have discussed it in the session we had at Seamless in Berlin, or it was like another food podcast I've recorded. But my understanding is that the family-owned, single-run restaurant, the Italian restaurant, the Vietnamese restaurant, do face a hard time in the future, because they are losing market share more and more towards like franchised restaurants, because you have a better value chain management. You're getting you have like a much better HR management, and we might face what we see in the US, whereas more or less 80% like franchise kind of restaurants systems available, versus like in Europe, I don't know, it feels like the other way around. Maybe it's wrong. Is this true? Is this observation still true, that we are moving toward a franchised world, regardless if it's Burger King or like a pasta chain or what else?
I think I'm not sure. I don't see that in the same way here in the markets I'm responsible for. I see there's still a lot of potential for the local owners to try to be diverse in the competition and do something that will attract the customers. So I think they are relevant and still will be moving forward. But of course, you're right at some extent, in my opinion, when you talk about the whole cost and value chain, because we run it quite well and it's really strong. Also our marketing, as you say, And that is, of course, difficult to beat if you want to expand. If you have more than one restaurant who have a volume, then you're going to suddenly be a competitor directly to one of the bigger chains, and that's difficult. But we have some of the chains coming up also within the burger segment, which are doing quite well in Denmark, which are not maybe at a volume that says 10 to 20 restaurants and doing okay. So, but also at the same time, we also have someone who's not doing okay and struggling. So it's a difficult market. So I don't know if we'll see the franchise will grow that much in total in the market. I think still there is room for both, but there's no doubt that we will see, I think, the bigger brands taking even more market share and cleaning up a little bit in the market, because the competitors will feel this moving forward. Because no one is going back.
I got it. But maybe it's not happening as fast as we are fearing it is. Okay, and then I'm right now preparing a podcast with the CEO of Stepstone, who wrote a book in Germany, a very successful one, where he said, okay, in the past, like many workers were worried about becoming jobless, but it's like not turning around, because like demographics is changing so fast that we don't have enough workers anymore. So his book is titled, I don't know how to translate it in English, but workerless. Yeah. So, and therefore, like every industry, every business that is relying on a lot of like manual workforce will become way more complicated to run, or become more expensive. And when I arrived at your restaurant at the Supercharger in Aarhus, obviously I saw the displays where you had to order. I don't even know if there was a normal order possibility anymore. If I could have gone to the front, I don't know. No. And then I was reminded about my preparation. Okay, maybe that's just the start, because there's not enough people anymore who would take the order. So you focus on the ones who make the burgers, because it's harder to do with robots. But can you tell us a bit more? Is it really kind of a struggle already, or is it still manageable?
I think it's still manageable. That's the short answer. But I think there's different perspectives on this. I think we need to go back and go from inside out and see how can we be attractive as a working place. That's my approach. How can I, because the workers are there, so how can I compete with retailers or other in the market where it's similar salary on similar conditions, but the work in the Burger King or one of the competitors is hard work. But we need to do it to fun work. We need to create some atmosphere around them, so it has a value for them, and relevant.
But how do you do it, the bun juggler? How do you make it
because
attractive?
the burger is still the burger. You need to build the burger, so we can't change that. But I think for us, what we work with is very much, and it's a classic thing, but very much involvement of the crews out there, and listen to what do you want, especially the younger group. And I'm not the younger group anymore, but they have different...
That's not true.
No, thank you. That's so kind. No, but they have different needs. And I think trying to understand the needs for especially the crew we have, which are a bigger part of the total workforce from 18 to 22, 25. We need to understand what is driving them, what is the motivation for them to meet in, have a good 8 to 10 hour shift, and have fun together with the colleagues, and thereby delivering a really, really strong guest experience, because that is what we need to be competitive in the market. And what we try to do, as I said, very basic, we try to involve, listen. We also try to do maybe a little bit more fun and celebration that we normally would do. Last month, one of the crew or ops team took out and surprised some of the restaurants, having a little bit of fun with the sound box and play some music, and just giving a major high five for some of the numbers they performed or whatever we put in as KPIs. So this celebration, a little bit more focus on the successes and the fun. And I'm maybe not the best ambassador, to be honest, on the fun part, but I'm trying to find and work with the colleagues who are much more into that, because I think that's a major driver. Back to your question, how do we attract and retain the workforce we need to drive the business? Because we need them.
Yeah. As part of a global brand, how much freedom do you have to do those decisions, stylings of the restaurant, recipes, menu?
I think we have a really good cooperation with RBI, who is the brand owner. And the freedom is quite large within the markets, I think. So we want to do something, it needs to be approved, it needs to be a dialogue, so we are following the overall concept, of course. So we are aligned from a guest perspective all over the markets, which make total sense. But going into the different markets and adjusting and be relevant, making, for example, change the assortment to a burger who can actually make sense. We have one in the airport, Copenhagen Airport, which is called King of Nyhavn, which are a very local reference to Nyhavn, which are in Copenhagen, a very popular tourist place. It's a fish burger, and it's really, really good. And it's approved, of course. That's something we need to align. So all the compliance, everything quality-wise behind is checked, and we are aligned. So that's something, but the maneuver, or the freedom to maneuver within the markets are quite high, in my opinion.
From the 1,500 employees working for you in Denmark, how many are working in the headquarters doing this quality assurance, for example?
Yeah, we work with the group function across the three markets. We cover the three markets. I have the two, and then we have the local or GNA, or the local offices also. We have in Copenhagen. I think we are around, in total, my team is around 25.
Okay.
Running
so small.
Yeah, so small. Yeah. And then we have group functions and around the same, around 25 to 30 people.
So the order experience I got today was like the displays in the store. That is something that's developed centrally in the US, for example, and then rolled out in the free market?
No, it's dependent on the supply we use. We have different, there's again freedom to choose different suppliers within the markets. The one we are using on the kiosk or self-ordering screens is something we choose and then use, and then we set it up to be as most efficient or relevant for the guest as possible within the market. That can also be different from Denmark to Sweden to Norway. So it's not necessarily the same solution. Software is the same, but the setup, the way it clicks you through the customer journey can be very different and hopefully relevant for each market. But so no, there's different possibilities there, and the head office we try to keep small and try to put the resources out in operations and the business.
And for the 30 to 40 new stores you might open in Denmark, if you could choose here, if you look down here at Cinemex Aarhus, if you can get like some space in there versus like the new biggest supercharger close to Kolding at the highway, what's your pick?
I need to pick one,
Yeah.
I will go with this one, Central, Yeah. And that says, I need to pick one, But we actually just did a cooperation end of last year with one of the biggest EV charging companies in Denmark, and try to create the synergies there is with EV charging.
And is there a synergy? So do you see it working?
Yeah, I see it working. It's still in early phases, information-wise, but we see it where we have like the Tesla chargers. You Tesla charged yours, and you went into the Burger King. So there is a need for 20 minutes break. Why don't you grab a burger with us instead? Yeah.
And are the EV producers trying to convince you to put like a Burger King menu in the system in the car? Because that's actually where with Spryker we are pretty involved in discussions with in-car commerce. And then we say, okay, what's your case? What's the in-car commerce case? Yeah, we want to sell subscriptions for heated seating, which some brands are trying, which is not a good idea from a customer experience perspective because they feel betrayed. But obviously the next big thing is, okay, we know where the customer is and when the car needs to be charged, and then we might offer him like 10% discount at the supercharger with the Burger King, or 10% discount at the Starbucks, the next supercharger, and therefore, and the business goal is obviously to sell retail media. So you should pay for it. Yeah. I definitely would try to convince you implementing the Burger King experience in the Tesla menu. Have you seen such discussion?
Not on that level. I think it's really interesting. What we discuss is on the charger itself. When you are there, then there is relevance to go or sentiment to go to Burger King with the discount code.
Yes.
You scan with the QR, whatever, or you have the app. Then
so you have this kind of near field advertising system?
No, we haven't that done yet. This is just what we agreed on and will be implemented. So this is one of the discussion we have with the charger or the supplier, that we can actually integrate this experience with the charging experience. So I very much align. I think it's going that direction. And
how aggressive are you allowed to be on charging stations? Because I'm looking at it from a business perspective. So you have a lot of people parking there. Some are like sitting in the car and playing like stupid Tesla games. But you could, when there's like not a big line in the store, you can tell your people, okay, you're getting like 10% of every order that comes through your, let's say, marketing initiative outside. Here's your flyers. Go to the Tesla owner. Say, okay, give you like 10% now. If you want, you come with me. Here we have a very good Nyhavn burger available today. Are you interested?
Yeah. We're not doing that currently.
Yet.
No, not yet. Tomorrow we will. Thank you. No, I think there's definitely a smarter way to work with people needed to stay for certain amount, 20, 30 minutes, and how to get that traffic into the restaurant and create sales. So we are working on different solution integration with charging companies, software, so on. But I think the good old one going out doing the physical is also possibilities, but not something we have done now.
Yeah, it's because the interesting stuff is I've also, since we met last year, I've started a new podcast in the energy sector. Yeah. It's called Energy Zone. So I'm pretty aware of how the whole energy market is changing. And obviously there's an incentive for charging providers to let cars charge with lower speed. Yeah. So because it costs less money, instead of, let's say, 10 kroners or 10 cents per kilowatt hour, let's say 50 cents, you can offer him like 25 cents. And from the difference, you could make an offer for like if you charge lower, you get a burger for free. Yeah. And when somebody is coming into the restaurant, get a burger for free, obviously he will pick fries and a drink. So there's so many like opportunities, but you're not on this level yet.
No, okay. No, we're not there. And I think that's one of the possibilities we're looking into with the new contract we did on national level to have this synergy with charging was integrated. Yeah.
Okay. So some of the listeners might have forgotten now, but it was a big topic still last year in Berlin, Corona, which was helping many retailers to think about delivery options, out of home options. And I was surprised when we talked first in preparations for the conference that there was kind of a delivery option for burgers, which was new to me, where I thought, okay, what is the business model here? So how can you cover all the costs with like delivering burgers? Can you share a bit of the experience here?
Yeah, of course. First of all, it's a massive market and it's growing rapidly. That's really still. Yeah. It especially here in Aarhus, but the larger cities, when you have coverage from the aggregators, no matter if it's Wolt, Just Eat or whatever, then we will see the impact. You will see the potential sales are huge. People want to order from home and want to have it delivered. What it creates, of course, is obvious thing is quality. That's really, really important for us. So that's something we are not struggling with, but we are very aware of. How do we ensure the quality, the freshness, and a good experience when you eat your burger after being delivered? That's something we are really working hard on with the aggregators.
Can you walk us through the customer journey? So how does it work? I have the Burger King app.
Yeah, you don't use. Maybe you use one of the aggregators. That will be normal. You'll use Wolt or Foodora or Just Eat. But you log on to the app. You have different solutions, offers. You will choose Burger King, of course, and then you will order the Whopper meal. Then it will give you the price, and it will give you also the delivery time and delivery price. So you have the total cost, the food, and the delivery.
What is the delivery price for like a Whopper menu?
It varies. It's on Wolt actually, so we don't. That's not on our business.
So they charge the delivery fee.
The aggregator charge, or Foodora or Just Eat, they will charge the delivery fee. Yeah, and
but what is it like roughly? So are we talking like $3, $5?
Yeah, I think around $5 to $6, depending on the distance and the volume. But there's a lot of different models here, because also you can have a monthly fee you pay, and then you have free or very low. If you have a high volume, you order a lot of food.
It's like Amazon Prime for food delivery.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So there are different models.
I never thought about that. Yeah,
no,
but it makes sense.
So you have a monthly fee, and then you get a major discount, or you actually sometimes also have free delivery on your orders. So that's different models within different aggregators, and then you cash out and you pay, and then you have, let's say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, it will be delivered. But what we look at in that process, if you go behind that from when you order to you get your food, is of course we get the order in the restaurants, and then we have a clear time slot when the delivery will come and pick it up. It needs to be ready at that point and not before, because again, back to the quality experience is so important. And then we also have a very clear time frame for delivery to go out to the guest or the customer in the end. So I think that's very balanced. It goes quite well because we all have the same, sentiment from both aggregator
and you had the out of home option before. So you have you're picking it still in the brown bags, right? There's nothing special.
No, there's nothing special. And then it comes in a heat bag, of course, from the aggregator. When they take out delivery, come in, they will put it in the heat bag. Okay. And it makes sure to also keep the heat. That's the main thing, to keep the freshness and the quality. So, but that's something we will see grow and grow. And that's become a much higher criteria on when we select new locations, like you talked about before. That's maybe the main driver. What you asked me, highway location, a motorway location, or in a central location, the coverage here with home delivery will be much higher. And that's why the growth potential, when we look at the numbers, are really high.
And I guess you've also looked into options delivering yourself when you started looking at it. So
yeah, it's an ongoing discussion actually. There's something we touch on every second month or not every half year, or see if there's anything changes in the market. Meaning, can we now do a more profitable business with doing home delivery ourselves? Because that's, of course, we also have a fee we pay, of course, to have this service. So we would like to keep as much within the business as possible. But right now, with the regulation there is, and the salary and all the setup, it's difficult to do a good distribution business without having very high volume.
Yeah, and I had the COO of Domino's Pizza in the podcast in Germany, and he told me that obviously they have a very high interest of getting the people away from the aggregators because they're getting some margin
exactly.
from you, and you don't control the whole experience. And they have They have high frequency users that are offered then 5-10% discounts, which are for those users like an important kind of thing, even collecting points. And then when I prepared for this podcast, I thought, okay, if this is working for Domino's, which is even a tighter niche than actually Burger King is serving from a target customer perspective, this must also be working for you. So are you focusing on like a digital experience?
Very much.
Doing this?
Very much. I think
special burgers only available in your app?
Yeah, for example, but the whole loyalty setup, the whole customer experience when the digital universe is for me, when we look a little bit forward, let's say 2 to 3 years, that is definitely need to be relevant within the business and be able to earn money and have the revenue. You need to have a really strong, clear digital profile, and you need to own the whole digital journey, and including loyalty programs and sentiments and so on.
But sure, I'm not that good in math, but from the 25 people that are working in the headquarters, I guess it's not too many left over that can do the digital experience.
No, but we work with very good. You need to do what you're best at. Yeah, that's my opinion. So if you have a software company who's really the best of the best to develop an app that runs a perfect digital journey, then we of course work with them. I think we don't have the volume in the Danish market. We're also a quite small market with only, as I mentioned in the beginning, 58 restaurants or 59. So if I had like 1,000 restaurants, if you go to Germany, Spain, France, which are larger markets, I think they have a different overhead than I have. And there you maybe bring it in-house. But my approach is to have a very strong team who knows the core business, who can execute on what we agree on, and then we go and cooperate and find the best, most innovative guys we can in the business, for example, the digital one. And that's what we are looking into now, if we have possibilities to build this future cooperation with some of the good ones in the business.
And do you think it might lead to like really individual kind of voucher systems? Because today you're getting this. Sometimes it comes as a newspaper, so just a big page. Here's your Burger King vouchers. Just cut them off. The one you like, almost, which is it's very inefficient because my son maybe only likes the nuggets, and then obviously you should offer him like a slightly bigger voucher on the nugget menu.
Definitely, I think already now we do, of course, coupons and so on with the digital, but it's not individual targeted. It's a general. We decide and say we think these, let's say 20 products, will do a coupon push on the next coming month, and a good discussion internally, look at the numbers. But the more individual targeting using the data for the guests or the customers, of course, that is what is needed. And we already have quite a good framework on how we want to approach this. But we also need to balance, of course, the different regulations and so on in the markets and in EU. But I think you will see much more individual targeted coupons, advertising, and so on, making it much more relevant for the guest in the end.
When you're expanding your footprint, new restaurants in Denmark or Sweden, you're financing it from your own P&L, I guess?
Yeah, we are. We open both King Food restaurants, so our own operated, and we also open new franchise restaurants. So it's both. The growth comes from both parties. And I think you'll also see, back to your question about franchise, we'll see more growth from franchisee coming in when we look forward 3 to 5 years. So we'll still be much relevant operating, but you also see franchise growing a lot.
And what is a franchise process? Are there people that are usually doing franchise that did franchise before with another brand, or are those people that do have already like 2 Burger King franchise restaurants and then open like another 1 or 2?
Yeah, both. So we work we have different approaches. Of course, we have one with existing franchisee. Do they want to develop and grow with us? Then, of course, we do a cooperation with them. We agree on growth areas and try to align what will make sense for them and for us. Then you have the opening for the new ones. And there we are quite open, actually. We want people coming in who has a passion for the brand. But you don't need to have been with a competitor for 10 years or been in franchise business before. But of course, you need to have a commercial understanding, and you need to bring capital to grow and to invest in your business.
Let's say I want to open something in Aarhus.
Yeah, it could be that.
So close or Kolding or whatever. So how much money would I bring to the table in order to... And I would focus on the supercharging kind of thing.
Yeah, you would.
There's still potential there.
Yeah.
Maybe supercharger close to a city, so you can get like the traffic from work and
some home delivery coverage. Yeah. No, I think depending, of course, on location and there's different costs for different locations. But just come into the market, you need to bring around 2 to 3 million. Minimum Danish kroner, so that's around 300,000 to 400,000 euros, ish.
That gives me like one restaurant.
That gives you one restaurant, and that's something where we can start growing.
But on top of that, I need to pay like a franchise fee, correct?
Yeah, there is a franchise structure. I think like all the franchisee, where we have a clear structure around that. That's very a standard, I think. There's nothing special with that.
Okay.
So, but growth-wise, I think you can generate new cash flow for new investments and grow one by one. But I think coming in and having this, I want to grow with the business and bring that capital is needed when we look forward. I think this coming in and having 1 or 2 restaurants is difficult because we have a market and we can see the potential of growth. So the one we're looking for new franchisees needs to have the mindset of they want to grow.
And if you want to go into this business, it might make more sense to start a franchise with like a big brand like Burger King or McDonald's instead of going with like a small one. So my observation was that some of the franchise businesses went out of business or reduced the business. For example, what was the burrito kind of thing called, where you had like breads and like on the breads you could put different stuff on top. Subways.
Oh yeah.
So Subways in Germany, I see at least restaurants where I experienced restaurants before they're closing. Are there some brands going out of the market?
Yeah.
You don't have it in Denmark.
No. No, I think we're quite consolidated in the Danish markets. I think we had Subway many years ago. Please don't ask me what.
Okay.
Apparently,
because I was always wondering because you have those huge American brands like Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I'm asking myself, so why? Because like we are becoming the taste becomes more global.
Yeah.
I would say you have like a lot of American tourists like traveling everywhere. So opening up Kentucky Fried Chickens in all the global airports in Europe, Amsterdam, London, whatever, and like expand from there. Easy, but
KFC is also in Denmark and Sweden, but not that big. I think we're talking about again with around 20 restaurants maximum.
Okay,
and so, no Taco Bell and nothing. No.
Okay, and then there's like a new trend now coming up. Apart from the home delivery stuff, which is done by DoorDash or Wolt, which is dark kitchens. Which are, I see it even now that there's dark kitchen without the restaurant structure that are offering like menus from 5-6 different brands. They're all listed in the Lieferando app or in the Wolt app, and depending on what works best, and that might be a trend from an influencer. So influencers starting now this dark kitchen brands, and then they sell it as like a franchise, and then you can say, okay, I do the influencer taco kitchen now. I put it on the menu in Aarhus, listed at Wolt, and see what kind of orders are coming in, which I found very interesting. Obviously, the value creation lies in having the brand and not running the dark kitchen.
No, exactly.
So what's your view here?
I think it's really interesting. We haven't seen it in Denmark yet.
No?
So no, not really in that much. I think very small scale. I think it will come. I think it's interesting to have that concept coming in. And also, I think you will see, I don't think it's impossible that you also will see Burger King footprint going down. We also discussed it in Seamless. I think, bricks and mortar is a little bit of your concern sometimes, or
a little bit.
Very
optimistic
frame. Exactly. Yeah. So I still, as we also,
but you're not dependent on brick and mortar footprint.
No, exactly. My point was more that we are going in a direction where we also see brands as the Burger King coming in to have a much less footprint. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think also competitors already now tested in the Danish market, this grab and go solutions where you only have the kitchen part, and then you can pick up. You can take with you yourself, or you can get it delivered.
And that would be much, much cheaper than 400K, right?
Exactly. That's a different concept. And that's also why when we're talking moving forward, I think there's much more flexibility in the way we want to run business, and we need to adjust to the market, of course. And the market will also be more open for minimal footprint. There's also another discussion on whole, the sustainability and the way we approach and building businesses, but all the way down to what is also good business is to have a minor footprint, but you still have a huge coverage. You have a huge sales because people get it delivered or they just pick it up. They don't want to sit in a restaurant in some areas. So that possibility of driving business through these channels, I think, will grow also moving forward.
Can we quickly go through your pitch for a franchisee? So if you pitch me and say, Alex, you want to do something in colding, you have to invest like 400K, then I would ask you, okay, so how long until I need to renovate the restaurant at like another 100K? And what's going to be my yearly return, or what is like the interest rate I'm getting on my investment? So I guess you have this discussion quite often. So
we do.
What's the calculation here?
Yeah, I can not share that much. Yeah, I would gladly do.
You can open.
Yeah. There's only you and
because I need to know if I should invest.
Yeah, of course. Then turn off. Yeah, then I will tell you. No, I think let's talk just general. I think we have very different location and very different sales prognosis from location to location. And that should also reflect in the fixed cost, for example, the rent level and so on. So that will also vary at the return of investment, of course. So there is fixed cost. You need to invest in this much to create a restaurant that has room for 70 people and so on. So there is a standard fixed cost. And then there is the variables of the location, potential sales, the rent especially, and of course also home delivery coverage. That's some of the variables. So therefore the return on investment will go from, let's say, from 10% up to 20%. That varies, yeah. Okay,
and today when I stopped at the Supercharging Burger King, that's a good name, Supercharging Burger King. I was order number 768 or so. Is it a true number? And was I really order number 768?
Yeah, but depending on when we reset the different tickets, yeah. So
you're not resetting it in the morning?
No, not the tickets necessarily. No, if you're 700 what?
760.
No, that could actually be
and it was lunchtime.
That could be accurate, yeah.
Okay, let me do a back of the envelope calculation here. So lunchtime, and then let's say half of the business was done. Okay, people are rather coming at the evenings instead of the mornings, right?
You have a larger frequency from around mid-time, and then you have again in the afternoon.
Say this was my order was 150 krona. Could be an average order size.
It could be.
I get. Okay, you don't need to confirm or deny here. Then, but 150 krona, let's say 2,000 menus a day on a very good day. 150,000, 300,000 kronas per day. That's too much, right? It's a bit too much. That would be like 30,000 euro revenue. That's a bit too much.
That's a really good restaurant. Yeah, it's not impossible. Yeah. Without saying
for
denying
30,000 a day. So I must have. I think I've added. I have a 10. Was a zero mistake here.
Yeah. But no, but I think we actually, to be honest,
but we are not talking about like a high risk investment. So if you are in control of your rental fee, and if you believe in the brand, you'll expand. So and do have like a tight management of personnel, 10% return on your investment.
That's definitely
could happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. It's a really good business, and of course I also need to say that when I'm now responsible, but I think the last years we really stabilized the brand also, and moving forward you will see much more from the brand. We are investing heavily. The brand will be giving much back to the franchisees.
I've recalculated 18,000 euros a day. 18,000 euros a day. Is this a kind of a ballpark that's possible for the restaurant?
Yeah, it's not unachievable. No, it's not. It's no, I think that could be done. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And what else has changed, like in the restaurant value chain itself, like inside the restaurant, instead of the I saw the kiosk, so you're ordering now on a digital way, but behind the desk, has there anything changed dramatically over the last 10, 20 years? Yes, you have added a couple of new burgers, but
yeah, of course.
Apart from that,
I can refer to the last couple of years, but no, the process, the operations is very much the same. But what we are now is we are digitalizing also in the kitchen, so we get a more higher accuracy in rush and peak, for example. So it's more clear which order goes to what, so we don't have, for example, mistakes happening within the orders. You get the wrong burger, you're lacking a dip or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we have some issues coming in now. We're testing a more digital approach also in the kitchen, more easy flow within the order screens. And that will help, of course, operation improve. But coming back to basic, we still do the burger. Yeah, it's really classic. Yeah.
Okay, I have not prepared you for this question, but
no.
But I'm
you didn't prepare for any question.
That's also true. But like for the next one that's coming, have there been initiatives you've tried out where you thought that's a really smart idea? We kind of quadruple our business, and then at the end nobody picked it up. So no additional order. Hey,
no, I haven't found. I haven't found the jewels yet. Yeah, no, I think.
But have you done things where you believed, okay, that's gonna be a jewel, we need to invest there, and then it didn't add nothing to the.
No, I think in general, my approach also and the way we work in business was the type of business is we do the small things to do the changes, and that is really
operational excellence.
It is, yeah. It is coming back to that. That is really, I think, one of the core things in running the good guest experience. And the other part where I think we have potential is over our branding and marketing. But there's nothing, untraditional or nothing I like.
It's still this kind of birthday kind of thing. Is this a thing? Because when I was
just introduced it actually, yeah.
Yeah, because when I have a Eastern Germany history, and obviously when after when the wall came down, McDonald's was was one of the first big brands we saw, and then having a table for kids' birthdays at McDonald's restaurants was like during that time was kind of a big time achievement. Is this still a thing?
We are trying to make it a thing again. Actually, it has been done very locally in some restaurants when people has approached us and say, "Could we do this?" And we, of course, try to find a solution. We just put into a standardization, a concept for it actually internally, and spread out to all the restaurants in Denmark, and also we'll do the same in Sweden. So you can book now your birthday party again officially with the Burger King restaurants. And I think this is not going to drive, the growth of the sales or anything, but I think it's one of the many things that make us relevant in the local communities and within different areas where we have restaurants, that you actually can assess us, you can use us if you want to, and also for a birthday party. And maybe also it's nice as a parent to actually just deliver the kids, and then you can just drink a coffee cup behind the scenes.
That's a good point. So then I have another macro question. So with it feels like a recession like in Europe, and or at least we had like a proven high inflation number over the last 2 years. Yeah. Which was like a disaster for many people because they couldn't afford what they were used to afford before. My understanding would be that this must have driven your growth because people must have left more expensive kind of food options, like more expensive restaurants, for example, and then move to a Burger King kind of menu. Is this true or
no? Yes and no. No, meaning that we also, of course, was hit by closures. We need to close down temporary, like other shopping malls and so on. So in that way, also hurt us quite a lot, the business during Corona, and also, I think still for many people going to a fast food restaurant or within a QSR business is still something nice, at an add-on. It's not a need thing. It's something you do because you want to treat yourself on the go or do some convenience part. And
is it different in Europe than in the US? Because in the US you have many apartments without a kitchen, so people need to
exactly. That's not a thing here. People have their own kitchens, they have refrigerators, everything, so they will do their own food.
It's still cheaper to go to the supermarket.
It is much cheaper to go to the supermarket.
Better.
It's not the same as the Whopper in any way, but when you get pressure on your income, I think it's understandable that you try to save money where you can. And we could see it in a negative way mostly, that people also save money there. But in Denmark, it was really not that bad. Both corona inflation-wise was high, but peaked, and then it went down, or still it's very low compared to where it was on the high end.
Have you tried?
So the effect is not that high here. Yeah?
Have you tried super premium products? I didn't tell you, but I had my own kettle herd with my father-in-law. So we had Hereford and Wagyu cattle. So obviously the meat quality I was used to have and my minced meat was sensational. And I have to admit, there's a difference to what I experienced today, but I definitely would have like the will to add like another $5 or so on my order in order like to get like really locally sourced certain meat quality, which would add a certain complexity to your processes. Have you tried this? Is there like a market for that?
Yeah, so we have different approaches there. In Norway, we actually have the Norwegian meat. So and it's really, really good quality. That's something also they're quite proud of up there. It's, again, not my market, but I know they use it. And Max, our competitors in Sweden, also do Swedish meat. And we're looking into the possibilities to bring in the local. There is, of course, the technical and a little bit boring quality assurance and also volume. So it's also often a matter of that, because we want to bring in the more local things, also local products. It could be local salad or local tomatoes, whatever makes sense. But the gourmet range, we call it with us, like the premium burger we have, and there you pay a bit more, like you say, but also invest more in the quality.
What is the name of the premium burger?
It's gourmet range, So you have, for example, you should try the chicken gourmet barbecue. That's my
chicken gourmet barbecue on the way back on Sunday.
That's my personal favorite, and I normally not promoting food, but this is really, really good.
Chicken gourmet
barbecue. This is really So I think there is definitely a market for the high end, and even though it's a little bit difficult sometimes with the operations, but it is something we have, and I think also the competitors have. So, and we'll keep having that. But want to bring it more local. There's something we're definitely aligned on. I want to do that, but the supply chain is difficult in some of these areas, of course, but it makes sense.
Nice. Anything I forgot to ask? Something that's in your mind, digitalization-wise, which you would bring up to the next Seamless conference?
I think no. I think the obvious thing, also especially for you and your listeners, is the digital sales channels has been relevant for many years, but will become even more relevant, if you can say that, moving forward. And the balance, like we discussed in Seamless, moving from the classic brick and mortars over to maybe just pickup points and so on, is very interesting to follow. And that's the trend that's happening all over the business, especially also in retail and so on. So, and I think it will also influence our way of running business moving forward and mid and long term. So that's going to be really interesting to follow.
So then we, after this podcast, we discuss how to implement it in the Tesla or Mercedes or whatever ecosystem. But thank you for your time and thank you for the invitation to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Das war's. Nächste Woche geht's weiter mit einer weiteren spannenden Folge von Caro. Ich arbeite so ein bisschen an der Folgenplanung für das zweite Halbjahr 2024. Habe schon viele spannende Gäste auf der Longlist, freue mich aber über eure Vorschläge. Ich orientiere mich mittlerweile eher an diesen makroökonomischen Themen. Das habt ihr wahrscheinlich schon rausgehört im Flo Heinemann Podcast. Und würde mich freuen, wenn ihr Händler oder Hersteller seid und euch zu diesen Themen äußern könnt oder äußern wollt. Wie hat sich euer Geschäft verändert mit Amazon hinsichtlich China, Direktimporte, Temu, Zollbestimmung, Logistikkosten? Also an diesen Themen würde ich es gerne aufziehen und nicht mehr so sehr in die Details der einzelnen Geschäftsmodelle reingehen. Also mir ist schon klar, dass es spannende Möbelhandelsmodelle gibt oder spannende Modelle, wo man mit anderen coolen Lifestyle-Accessoires handelt. Aber ich frage mich, wer bleibt da eigentlich übrig? Wer verdient da Geld? Wie funktioniert das in dem Wirtschaftssystem, in dem wir hineinwachsen, bei dem Europa nur noch die zweite, dritte oder vierte Geige spielt oder spielen wird und wie muss man sich da am besten verhalten. Ich freue mich über eure Vorschläge. Idealerweise kennt ihr jemanden, der jemanden kennt, der mir irgendwo Intros machen kann, wenn das spannende Gäste sind. Ansonsten wird das sehr schwer, an die Leute ranzukommen. Aber wir haben ein halbes Jahr Zeit noch hier im zweiten Halbjahr 24. In diesem Sinne, euch allen schöne Sommerferien. Ciao.